7 pieces of footage, 7 moments that stop you cold. Watch closely and decide for yourself which of these encounters is simply a trick of light and sound, and which one refuses any easy explanation. We're counting down 7 unsettling, unexplained encounters, all captured on camera. Home security, dash cam, TikTok clips, and workplace footage. Each clip arrives with its own context, its own witnesses, and its own set of questions. Some begin as small, everyday oddities and escalate into scenes that leave people terrified or baffled. Our goal here isn't to prove the supernatural. It's to present what was recorded, point out what makes each clip striking, and offer plausible natural explanations alongside the stranger possibilities. You'll hear what witnesses reported, see what the footage shows, and we'll flag the moments where nothing line up neatly. If you've ever caught something on camera like this, send your footage through the submission link in the description. We want to see what you've got. Clip 1. Amanda's upstairs room. Uploaded by Amanda, residential security footage. Amanda posted the first clip with a quiet, shaky camera and a short caption. She'd just moved into the house and felt unsettled by the upstairs room. The footage opens with a sleepy, ordinary domestic shot. A narrow hallway at the top of a staircase, the late afternoon light slanting through blinds. A shallow wooden board lies across a small crawl space opening in the ceiling. For days, Amanda says, that board kept falling. She tried propping it, nailing it, and eventually set up a camera to catch whatever was happening. On the recording, nothing dramatic happens for a few minutes, just the hum of the refrigerator downstairs, a distant car passing. Then, as if the scene inhales, the board lifts slightly and drops. It seems to fall a little more than a loose-fitting might. A faint rustling follows. Then the camera pans because Amanda re-enters the frame. She approaches the crawl space and mutters, "What on earth?" Her tone is low but sharp with nerves. She points the camera at the living room, and there, arranged awkwardly around a small table, are 2 chairs that had been pushed together in a way she insists she did not leave them. Amanda's voice quavers. She backs away, and the clip ends soon after she says she won't be coming back upstairs alone. Online comments that followed the upload are part of the story. Several viewers claimed to recognize the house and alleged that a previous tenant was never the same after living there. Comments that might provide context or simply be rumor piling on to fear. Those claims are presented on the upload as anonymous online recollections. We have no verified records that connect the house to any documented incidents. Still, those comments change how a viewer watches this footage. An ordinary falling board becomes freighted with backstory. Possible natural explanations. Old houses settle, ceiling panels can shift when humidity changes, and a poorly secured board may repeatedly come loose thanks to gravity and vibration. Drafts traveling from vents or stairwell pressure differences when doors are opened downstairs can nudge lightweight objects. Chairs can be moved by pets, by someone off-camera, or even by uneven floorboards that make furniture slide. If someone was playing a prank, their actions might be off-camera or masked by the house's ambient noise. Speculative, paranormal reading. For those open to the possibility, the escalation, from a repeatedly falling board to the later discovery of rearranged chairs, suggests an intelligence that grew bolder. Amanda's fear, the repeated disturbances, and the online claims create a narrative of something embedded in the house that dislikes being observed. We don't know which is true. The footage shows a sequence of small but increasingly unsettling events. Its ordinary space turned strange. That's why it's difficult to dismiss entirely. Clip 2. Iron cell door at the Ohio State Reformatory, uploaded on TikTok, interior historic site footage. This clip comes from inside one of America's best-known historic prisons. The Ohio State Reformatory was built between 1886 and 1910 and operated until 1990. Today, the complex is a public tourist site known for its architecture and, for many visitors, its reputation for hauntings. A TikTok uploader who was touring the cell block set a phone on a low ledge so the camera faced an iron cell row. The timestamp on the clip isn't always reliable on social platforms, but the setting is unmistakable. Long corridors of iron bars, the silence of cold metal, and the kind of echo that magnifies every tiny sound. The footage shows a heavy iron cell door swing inward just a few degrees. It's not a dramatic slam or a full opening. It moves almost deliberately, nudging as if something on the other side has pressed against it. Then it stops, hanging at an angle for a beat, as if aware of being watched. The uploader's voice in the background is low and nervous. They whisper something like, "Did you see that?" And the camera quickly pans down the corridor. The movement is slow enough that viewers notice the door seems to hesitate in mid-motion rather than simply falling because of a broken hinge. Possible natural explanations. Heavy cell doors, even when latched, can move because of temperature-driven contraction and expansion, or because of subtle air currents traveling through the building. The reformatory's massive interior and long corridors can create pressure differences. Vibration from a passing tour group or vehicles outside can also set a door to swing slowly. Mechanical details matter. If the latch is slightly worn, or the door's counterweight is off balance, it might drift. A mechanical or structural quirk combined with the camera's perspective could make a small motion look purposeful. Speculative, paranormal reading. An iron door that seems to behave with intent in a place with a history of overcrowding and hardship reads to some as a residual or interactive phenomenon, an imprint of past trauma or a presence responding to attention. For viewers who already bring the reformatory's lore into the clip, that slow, deliberate movement becomes an eerie, conscious action. We're presenting both possibilities because the footage, while compelling, cannot assign motive or cause. Clip 3. Veterinary Hospital, Phantom Dog Sound, uploaded by Renee Security Camera Audio. This is one of those clips that hits differently if you have ever worked in a veterinary setting. Renee, who manages a small animal clinic, uploaded a short looped security camera file with a single audible anomaly. The sound of a dog crying, a deep and plaintive howl, coming clearly through the clinic's audio feed, while the camera's video shows the only dog on site sitting calmly in a back room. On the recording, staff are doing routine closing duties. The audio is thin, the security mic has limited fidelity, but at around 1:12 in the clip, a prolonged whine erupts. It's unmistakably canine sounding, that long, mournful quality dogs use to get attention. Staff in the video visibly react. One person stops, head cocked, and another freezes mid-step and looks toward the corridors. They scan rooms, they call out, and when they open every kennel and door, every crate, every office, no other dog is making noise. The only dog shown remains quiet, or seems only mildly restless. It's not the source. Possible natural explanations. Audio capture artifacts are notorious with low-quality security mics. Sounds from outside, a dog in a neighbor's yard, a truck with a peculiar harmonic, can bleed into a mic and appear localized. Audio compression can stretch or distort a stray frequency until it resembles a howl. A recorded message played on a phone or an advertisement on a nearby radio can mimic animal sounds. Staff familiarity with animal noises can help rule out some of these, but even experts sometimes misidentify artifacts when the recording is poor. Speculative, paranormal reading. A phantom animal sound inside a place devoted to animal care can feel like something that wants attention. An effective echo tied to the building's history or to animals that were once there. The emotional weight is amplified because the staff's relationship to animals makes the sound more alarming and meaningful. Renee and her team did what you'd expect. They searched, they called, and they posted the clip hoping someone could explain it. The video leaves us listening for a source we can't find. Clip 4, Isaac's Patrol, Abandoned Floors and Shed, uploaded by Isaac phone and security footage. Isaac works as a security guard at a hospital complex that includes several long-abandoned floors. The final sequence associated with his name is the only one in this series that builds across multiple uploads. A patrol recording, a separate phone shoved under a closet door, and later, a camera angle from a shed on the hospital grounds. Together they form an arc that begins with distant noises and ends with a sustained, intense audio-visual event. In the first clip, Isaac walks a corridor on the 4th floor. The building is stripped and quiet, its paint peeling. At a bend, an indistinct thump reverberates from behind a closed door. Isaac pauses and tells the camera he heard that. In the closet video, Isaac slides his phone under a slightly cracked door and captures a low, almost metallic grinding sound that rises and falls as if moving along the hallway. When he then returns later to a shed near the back of the property, the camera records a series of bangs and a long, drawn-out moan that seems to come from within the structure itself. Sometimes, the audio seems to morph from a mechanical scrape into something that listeners describe as breathy, closer to a human exhalation than a roof settling. Possible natural explanations. Abandoned hospitals present complex acoustics. Hollow spaces, wind tunnels formed by missing windows, and ductwork that vibrates in unusual ways. Rodents or raccoons, loose metal panels, or the shifting of settling materials can make noises that sound almost sentient. Security lighting systems, defective HVAC units, and water pipes can intermittently create tones that the brain interprets as voices or breath. Importantly, a sequence of uploads from the same person can create a pattern even if each event has an independent, mundane cause. Speculative, paranormal reading. Some viewers find it noteworthy that the sounds appear in several locations and follow Isaac's patrols. That continuity suggests either an entity that follows or targets him, or alternatively, something else physically moving across the property. The affective aspect, Isaac's rising alarm over time, amplifies how disturbing the footage feels. We can't verify whether the same source created every noise, and Isaac himself is careful in his captions to say he's recording what he hears rather than making claims about origins. That restraint matters because it keeps the footage open for interpretation. Clip 5. School auditorium. Graduation rehearsal. Uploaded by an attendee. Rehearsal footage. This clip begins with a bright, ordinary scene. Chairs lined on a gymnasium floor. Students milling through a graduation rehearsal. The principal claps, offering direction. Music plays faintly in the background. Then, in a single, crisp moment, a door in the back row swings wide without anyone visible near it. A breath or a small intake of surprised air ripples through the room. A student near the front reaches to adjust their mortarboard, and the cap is suddenly knocked off as if an invisible gust pushed through the space. Everyone freezes. The principal and a teacher walk to the door and test it. They confirm it isn't on a spring hinge. The school later says the door's mechanism is manual and stable. This one has the social dimension that makes it hard to dismiss at a glance. Dozens of witnesses, daylight, and the social proof of multiple adults present. That context changes the clip's weight. Possible natural explanations. Sudden air pressure changes, caused by a large number of people opening doors simultaneously, a ventilation system kicking in, or a window opening, can create a gust capable of tipping a cap. A student could have been reaching for their hat and misjudged its balance, or someone off camera could have twisted a chair or made a disturbance that sent a small draft. The fact that the door later tests as manual complicates the draft explanation, but doesn't rule out transient pressures caused by simultaneous movement in the building or by HVAC system cycling. Speculative, paranormal reading. For some, the cap's abrupt fall in a bright, populated setting is evidence of an external agency that isn't impressed by daylight or crowds. The clip's public nature and multiple witnesses make it compelling for viewers who value eyewitness corroboration. Whatever the cause, the footage captures that split second when a commonplace ceremony becomes uncanny. And for many viewers, that split second is enough to linger in the mind. Clip 6. Tad's dashcam. Roadside shadow figure. Uploaded by Tad, dashcam footage. Tad's clip is the kind of encounter that creates an immediate physical reaction in viewers because it feels like a close call. Driving late at night in his Corvette, Tad's dashcam catches something at the edge of the headlights. A tall, dark silhouette standing by the roadside. The figure is elongated and featureless, like a shadow stretched taller by the lights. It steps toward the car at an awkward cadence. Tad can be heard breathing sharply. The camera angle suggests he instantly realized the danger and accelerated away. The figure recedes from view as the car speeds off down the highway. On screen, the figure's height and motion are unnerving. It's not a quick sprint. It almost lurches, and it remains near the road just long enough for a clear silhouette to form in high beam light. Possible natural explanations. At night, human vision and camera sensors conspire to create optical illusions. A person wearing dark clothing, an overcoat, or holding something vertical could appear elongated in a dashcam's low-resolution frame. A traffic sign, a reflected shadow on a guardrail, or even an animal, for instance, a deer caught in a momentary pose, can read as humanoid in the glare of headlights. Camera artifact is also possible. Lens flare, motion blur, and sensor bloom can stretch shapes into proportions that mislead. Lastly, someone could be hitchhiking or standing at the roadside, entirely mundane, but terrifying when unexpected. Speculative paranormal reading. To those who watch with the uncanny in mind, the figure's height and its strange, purposeful movement make it look non-human, or not quite bound by human gait. That oddness, combined with Tad's palpable fear, gives the clip high emotional impact. We can't reconstruct the scene beyond the recording's frame, but the clip's immediacy, the fact that Tad flees, ensures it hits viewers on a visceral level, whether the root cause is human, animal, or something else. Clip 7. Mariah's Restaurant, Late Night Shove, uploaded by Mariah, security camera footage. The last clip here is the most physically jarring. Mariah uploaded tonight's footage from a late shift in a closed restaurant. On camera, a worker is pulling a cloth from a bucket near the prep station. The room is dim but functional. Without warning, the worker is shoved hard enough to stumble backward and fall to the floor. There's no visible person in frame making contact. The worker scrambles up, shaken, and leaves the frame quickly, refusing to continue the task. Mariah's upload closes in on the worker's face, eyes wide, expression raw and alarmed. Possible natural explanations. An off-camera person could have shoved the worker, perhaps a prank or an altercation. A sudden structural failure, a slipping anti-slip mat, a falling crate, a shelving unit shift, might mimic the effect of a shove. Security cameras sometimes crop portions of a room out of view. What looks like an empty frame may have hidden movement just outside the camera's sight. Tension and fatigue can make a worker more likely to stumble from an unexpected contact. Because the clip shows an apparently unprovoked shove, questions naturally arise about who else was present that night and why they might have remained off-camera. Speculative, paranormal reading. A blow with no visible source reads as direct poltergeist-type activity for many viewers. An unseen force interacting physically with the environment. The physicality of the shove and the worker's visible fear make this clip one of the most visceral in the set. The upload contains no follow-up footage showing other angles, and Mariah's caption asks viewers if they've seen anything like this before. Without additional camera views or witnesses, the clip remains simultaneously alarming and unresolved. Quick technical note on footage and audio reliability. Across all 7 clips, it's worth pausing to consider the limits of the cameras and microphones themselves. Phone cameras, security systems, and dash cams each have strengths and weaknesses. Security microphones often capture a compressed, narrow band of sound. That makes it easy for environmental noises to appear guttural or dislocated. Phone cameras tend to auto-expose for the brightest area in frame, which can flatten or darken the rest of the scene and create silhouettes. Dashcams are optimized for forward motion and can distort peripheral objects at high speed. Compression artifacts, the byproducts of saving and uploading footage in small files, can blur edges, smear motion, and introduce echo-like effects that aren't present in the original moment. Those technical realities don't explain every anomaly, but they do create conditions where ordinary phenomena can look inexplicable. Community reactions and the pull of the crowd. On through line in these uploads is the internet itself. Amanda's thread fills with commenters who allege previous tenant issues. The reformatory TikTok attracts threads of believers and skeptics trading possibilities about door mechanics. Renee's vet clip draws other clinic workers who relate eerily similar stories. Isaac's uploads gain traction as people stitch together the 3 videos to make a narrative. The auditorium clip becomes a viral debate. Was it a draft or something else? Tad's dashcam spawns hours of debate about what night vision and headlights do to perspective. Mariah's restaurant clip prompts viewers to ask about staffing logs and other camera angles. Community sleuthing can both help and complicate our understanding. On one hand, crowdsourcing analysis yields helpful technical tips. A sound engineer might point to a compressor artifact, or a building specialist might explain a door's counterweight. On the other hand, collective storytelling can create feedback loops. Viewers add possible backstories that then color how new viewers interpret the footage. Balancing our reading, red flags and credible elements. When we evaluate footage, there are practical markers we can look for without leaping to conclusions. Red flags include edits, inconsistent lighting that suggests compositing, and obvious staging cues like actors looking directly at the camera or repeated uploads that escalate improbably. Credible elements are witnessed reactions that seem spontaneous and fearful, multiple angles or corroborating audio, and environmental details that match verifiable facts about a location, like the reformatory's documented history and architecture. None of these markers deliver a definitive verdict on their own, but together they help us weigh plausibility. Climactic montage. What we remember. Think of the moments that linger. Amanda's board lifting and a set of chairs mysteriously arranged. The slow, almost aware swing of an iron cell door at the reformatory. The distant, heartbreaking howl in a veterinarian's clinic that had no visible source. Isaac's patrol that builds into a sustained, breathing-like audio. The daylight shock of a graduation cap knocked loose while dozens of people watch. Tad's dashcam silhouette that pushes a driver into flight. Mariah's worker sent stumbling by an unseen shove. Image by image, sound by sound. These are the beats that create an emotional thread. Ordinary scenes interrupted, attention drawn to small anomalies, then escalation into physical or sustained disturbance. Final framing. What are we asking you? Which of these 7 encounters convinced you? Which seemed likely an everyday explanation disguised by technology and context, and which, if any, left you thinking there is something genuinely unexplained in these recordings? We want to hear your take. Leave a comment telling us which clip you found most convincing and why. If you have similar footage, use the submission link in the description to send it our way. We frequently feature viewer clips and highlight technical analyses from experts who weigh in. A responsible reminder before we close. We present these videos just as they were uploaded, as footage with witnesses, as recordings with limitations, and as moments that raise questions rather than answers. None of the clips here are presented as definitive proof of any supernatural claim. Where relevant, we've outlined plausible natural explanations alongside more speculative readings. If you're exploring sites like abandoned floors or historic prisons, don't risk your safety for a recording. We won't encourage trespassing or harassment of people or places. One last thought. The camera's role across all 7 clips is central. It acts as a witness, but also as a filter. A tiny movement that might go unnoticed in person can look monumental on a low-resolution file. A stray noise may become an elaborate howl once it's compressed and replayed. Human perception fills gaps, and our minds are wired to seek agency, to attribute actions to persons or presences. That's not a flaw. It's how we make sense of the world. It's also why footage like this keeps us coming back. We want to know where the line lies between explanation and mystery. Which encounter shocked you most? Tell us in the comments. If you like this countdown and want more unexplained footage, like and subscribe. And remember, if you've captured something strange, send it through the submission link in the description. We'll watch it with the same careful curiosity, and together we'll try to separate what can be explained from what remains unsettlingly unresolved.